All right, tonight's subject, two-finger salute strategy. Welcome aboard. Let's crank that music on down here. We are going to get directly into things here tonight. We're going to talk about, remember, this strategy is both fully automated as well as semi-automated, depending on which package you have. So if you have your two-finger salute set up, ready to go here tonight, let's get into those notes. All right, folks, so these videos going to be quick and to the point. We want to make sure that on this page here, take that screenshot or take your own notes, depending on how you like to do things. I'm a personal, my personal style is to take screenshots, put them in a big Word document, maybe print them out later. If you want to put these up later on your screens, on your walls, or in a notebook, that's up to you. But make sure you take notes. That tactile reference when you are actively engaging inside of things that you're learning is important, in my humble opinion. So let me crank that music all the way down here. We're going to get straight into things. So if you play this back at 2x speed later on, there's no music to interrupt, etc., etc. A little bit different from our typical videos of live streams. So let's get right into the meat and the details of all of that. That's how the rest of these videos will also be going. So I won't be doing these intros like this into those. They will be straight up going directly into the meat. All right. So two-finger salute, one of my favorite strategies. One kind of goes all the way back. I think you guys who see me, let's see, we started streaming 4 years ago, I think in January 2016, and some of those very first videos, some of the stuff that I had people helping me to search for was this particular strategy right here. This is the two-finger salute strategy based on hammer bars and getting our entries, stops, and targets. I'm going to talk about all that here tonight. So going through the top of the list here in our category type, this is a trap deviation reversion, as well as can be used as a trend continuation depending on where the two-finger salute shows up. We'll talk about the locations. Again, location. So important for these. Again, you're not just going to be swinging at every strategy. And remember, this video first, before you should be getting into this video, rewind, zip, go back and watch videos 1 through 6, which is the core in the order of operations. Everything still applies to that. And then, of course, there are places to override the order of operations, but you'll find that out here tonight as well. But you need to know exactly what those are so that when you are trading in live market conditions, as the markets are shifting, you know what you should be taking, which ones you shouldn't. Remember, the filters are some of the most important parts. This is just the execution of the entry. Everything prior to this is important. This is just going to be talking about the execution of the entry strategy, stops, targets, when and where to get in on those. Okay. Subcategory here, scalp to medium plus runners. Why the scalp? Again, really not much of a scalp player around here. However, this is a unique strategy in that there is a 5-tick target. I consider 4 or 5 ticks to be a scalp. Some people differ on that, but 4 or 5 ticks is a scalp around here. 10 to 15 and 25s are our typical kind of medium range targets. And then, of course, our runner scenarios. This one can incorporate all of those. Average trade, 1 to 15 minutes. Again, that's the average on those, depending on what market. Again, if you're going to trade the Zs, the snoozers, that's different. But I just want you to get if you're categorizing this type of strategy or wanting to know if you're looking for a type of strategy, what you are engaging in. Of course, you can look back at these notes later. Time of day. This can be applied any time of day. There's no specific time frame. Some of our strategies, of course, are like right during lunch or at the end of the day or final 7 minutes, open, etc., etc. This is an all-day strategy. Entry type. Instant market pinpoint entry. This is not one of those where we can add into position into a zone or anything like that. We are, boom, entered in to that position. This is not a zone. Okay. Entry type, we did that one. Targets, 5, 10, and 15. We kind of talked about that briefly. 5 tick, 10 tick, 15 ticks are the first 3 lines. You'll see exactly what that is. You can kind of see a picture right up above me. Bloop, 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 bloop. Right up above. I don't have a drawing thing on this slide here, but you can see it right there. Two-finger salute. That's an up 2-finger right above me. And the 3 lines, 2 greens and a red. The 2 greens, that is a 5 and a 10, and then the red is a 15 there on any of your entries. You'll be seeing that as we get into the algorithm itself. Okay. Stop is at the back of the box. Of course, you can see the box up above as well. See that box up on the 2-finger. The back of the box depends on which direction it is. In that case, the one up above me, the stop would be down below the green box there. And if it is red, it would be above the top of that box. Bar type, range bars. This is only going to be used on range bars. Don't be trying to use this on the algo bars. Don't use this on time bars. It can be technically used on time bars, definitely cannot be used on algo bars, like an absolute no-no. But people who, you know, if you're a time person and you've picked this up somewhere and you want to try to do it, you can. It works. Okay, hammer bars are hammer bars, but not really. When it comes to the target things, it's very specific and want to make sure you are on range bars. We'll talk about how to engage and what range bars you should be using. During the week, you should be using the optimized range that we set up, that we post into the room. If you don't know where that is, make sure you go back in the other videos and know how to pick your ranges. Or if you are a platinum member and you are doing your own optimizations, you can run through the optimization and figure out what that range bar is for that instrument. We'll talk more about that in the automated part. We are probably going to do a second video in the advanced section where it's all about the optimization, all about the full automation. We'll touch into it a little bit here tonight, but I really want to go in depth on that because there are a lot of things that you want to be able to use and play with and maximize how you do that, including your stops, your targets, your range that you're on, and the reversals, as well as we've got advanced money management strategies built into the fully automated system that you want to know about and how to work with those. So that's not going to be in this video. Look for the next video. There will be a part 2 in the advanced full auto section. Okay, but we will touch a little bit of it here today, some examples and some results, etc. Okay. Difficulty. I would call this an easy strategy. Very simple. I think anyone can figure this one out. This is not complex. There are some that are complex. Things like when you hear me talk about the J-hook and how I do not recommend that for new traders. J-hook has to take a lot of market context into account. You need to have got some experience with it. You need to trade a ton of those to really know which ones are too big, which ones have too big of an initial leg, where the trap is. Make sure you can identify a trap. A lot of things in the J-hook, but not this one. This one is boom, shows it to you. You in, you out, and you know, wham bam, thank you ma'am. Let's get to some of the fun stuff, shall we? We shall. All right, so you got our notes over there to the left. If you want to reference those are down below me, down below here, so you can take a peek at those as we go along. If you need to know any of those things that we just talked about, they are there on the left. Now, over here on the right, again, take screenshots and take some notes as you go through this. If you're learning this for the first time, highly recommend that, and you need to have those. Again, get that in your mind. You need to be able to do this like breathing, okay? When it comes down to being able to do this for a living, all of our strategies, you need to, whatever strategy you are using, own it. All right. So 2-finger salutes, you guys should probably recognize these on your charts. You may have seen them. This is kind of on a naked chart. So this is what 2-finger salute sitting there all by itself. Now this is actually the strategy on. So those of you guys who are in platinum, you're going to see these things up here at the top left. You'll see the P&L for the time period that's been running. You'll see your high watermark in the bottom left. It's a little bit hidden down there, but as of right now, this is not running. We are after hours right now. And of course, you'll see some more information around the corners. We'll talk more details about what those mean, but this is the full auto part. So pay no mind to those here tonight. But in general, you are going to see this on a chart. This is currently sitting on a 24 range chart. And let's pretend as though this was the optimization, and I posted out to you guys, all right, today's optimized ranges, it's on a Sunday night, coming into Monday. The optimized range is 24 range, okay? So how do you do that? Remember, type in 24R on your chart. That will switch it, and go watch the videos on how to do that. 24 range in this case. Now, does that mean it's always 24 range? No. So special note, this does not mean you're always trading this on the 24. Okay, pausing right there. You got that? Not always on the 24. This can be at the lowest end, a 16. Did I put that in the list? Yes. Okay, so I missed that. I think I skipped that part on the notes. Let me come back to that note section here one more time. Right down in the section where it says bar size. I skipped right past that somehow. Bar size, 16 to 36. Okay, the lowest bar size on the range is going to be a 16 range. Got that? High side, 36. Now, people will go and they put these on lower time frames. They put it on higher. Look, if you find something that works, okay, but I'm going to tell you there are lots of reasons why. And if you want to have those conversations, we can have those later on. But just know that these are the ranges that you need to be using, especially when you're optimizing. You want to make sure that you are running it in this range. This is where the advantages come. We're talking about making sure you're capturing a trap on a retailer. Anything above that zone is going to be too large, and down below that you're getting into noise, so just keep that in mind. on those, and you'll have to adjust your stops and targets if you go lower. There are some opportunities lower, but then everything changes, right? 5, 10, 15 can't be that, etc. And we'll get into that later on. Okay, so back into, let's go ahead and let's load them up. So this is what it looks like on your charts. Let's do some theoretical drawings here first. All right. So this again is designed to be at the very top a reversion. Okay, and you notice that I use the word deviation and a trap. Okay, so 2 of these bars put together in a location is the trap itself. It's a minor trap, semi-strong depending on how big it is. We actually have 3 sizes of these. We'll talk about that as well. There is a kind of a small, medium, large concept here. We have what we call loose. Okay, so loosely identified. We have a moderate, and we have a strict. Okay, so those are our 3 terms. We'll come at the end of that to talk about those. But it's also, the strict is also known as a super. So if you see it written as a super and strict are the same thing. Loose and small are also synonymous. Okay, so here we go. Let's draw out maybe some little Bollinger Bands here. Again, these are super smooth. I get that they're hyper smooth. Actually, let's change the color on that because we're gonna have golden ropes in here as well. So let's draw maybe some Bollinger Band action coming through here, and our golden ropes. We'll draw our golden ropes here, kind of come through the middle, which again is some of our moving averages. Just we're going to use one for right now for examples, because I want you to know this is all about, we are talking about location, location, location. Oops. On where these are going to show up. Okay, which ones you want to take, which ones you don't. That is the question. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw ourselves first a couple of red ones. Okay, I'm going to take a red short in this area. If one happens here, we'll take it. We'll talk about some that, let's say that they happen here, and let's talk about one that goes, say, here. We'll talk about one that comes into this area, and then let's do some green ones. So let's talk about what happens if we got one up in, let's do this one right here. Let's see, we get an extension right here, the green, and here. Okay, so in general, think of these as Bollinger Bands. Remember, Bollinger Bands have deviations. They are deviations away from the mean. And what we're looking for is a 2-finger salute up into an area of approximately 2.5 deviations off of the mean, which is what you're going to typically get in our bands. But don't get too caught up in the minutia. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to wait until it's actually in the Bollinger Band. However, if you want to combine the power of the Bollinger Band area plus one of these, fantastic. It's a great piece to add there, and of course, great for automation as well. All right, so a 2-finger salute showing up in this area. The idea is to get our 5, our 10, and of course you'll see our little red line there, 5, 10, and 15. And for one of these, we've got, you'll see this, green, green, and red, and you'll see why here in a minute, why I am distinguishing between these certain locations. Okay, so we have 2 rules. The very standard, what I'll call a standard 2-finger salute, is this one right here. This is what you guys have seen us do over and over again. All the way back from the very first time when we kind of launched into things. We were looking for 2-finger salute, big extension out into an area. 2-finger salute shows up. We are looking for a boom, a move back down in the direction towards the mean. In this case, the moving average. Okay, so let's use pink here for price, P for price, and let's say that the price is coming way up here. We've got out in this area, boom, we want to see price kind of move up in this area. We want to maybe see it kind of come into this. All right, so we're looking for those 2 bars in this area, looking for that short back down into the kind of the normal range, right, where our true value is. Actually, where true value is out to the outside, where we want to short that back down inside, getting closer to what should be our average price in theory, right? So 2-finger salute shows up out here, boom, I'm going to take that every time as a reversion. Okay, let's talk about what happens inside of the moving averages. So if we come down in here and we get toward the golden ropes, we have another rule. Okay, if you get one in the golden ropes, I'm actually looking to reverse the position. Doesn't matter what the color is as long as we punch the reverse. Okay, so if I get a red down 2 finger that shows up in this area into the ropes, I actually want to reverse this. Okay, so instead of getting short right here, I actually want to take a long back up in this direction. Okay, and these are bigger targets. I'm actually targeting the back of the box with a stop at the 15 tick mark. Okay, which is why you'll notice that in our 3 lines here, we have target 1, target 2, target 3. The red line right there also is used for a stop when we are doing a reverse. Okay, hope you guys caught that so far. So on the other side of this red right here, we are going to see the stop line. Let's just exaggerate these. You got the green, and a red. Okay, this is going to be the stop now. Right? So stop is here. Target is at the back of the box. Okay, now I know we're doing a bunch of drawings here real quick. I'm going to show you this in, on live stuff. So, just follow with, make sure you understand what we're doing here. Okay, standard, we've got 2 ways. Standard 2-finger salute, reversion. Okay, then when we get into what we call the river zone, which is the zone around the moving averages, which are golden ropes, we want to reverse inside. Okay, when we get that trap inside, we look at that two moves down, we want to reverse it. And the stats are in our favor, pushing it back in the other direction. Okay, so this is the 2 primary things that I want you to know. Okay, so then the rest of these, we'll just kind of do some checks. This one, this is going to be a normal, right? So I'm taking a short in this one. Now, this one out here, I am getting a short out here. Same thing. I actually want to reverse this position. If it comes out here in a Bollinger Band and I get a red for some reason, I'm actually looking again for the reverse. Okay, so 2 places that I'm looking for the reverse. Okay, this one and this one. Make sense? Because really, if it's down here, it should look like this, shouldn't it? Okay, if I get some push out into this area and I get a 2-finger salute, I want to see it like this, pushing back inside, and I've got my 5, 10, and my 15, and of course, get some runners depending on how far out that goes. Remember the racquetball play. You'll learn about what that means. Racquetball, if we're coming fast into an area, we typically can come fast back, right? Like smacking a ball up against the wall on a racquetball court. Boom, you hit it hard, zoom, comes back up, zoom, poof, comes back down. It's kind of the opposite thinking. A lot of retailers get caught in this, especially new folks. When something moves fast up into an area, they think about physics. They think about all the things they've learned in life. That if something moves fast into an area, that means it's got a lot of momentum. They're like, oh, look at all the momentum going that way. Oh, it's gonna keep going. I'm looking for a pullback. I'm gonna keep going. Oftentimes, when something moves fast in an area, it often is a big trap. It gets everybody's attention going one way, then poof, comes back the other way pretty hard. Whereas a grind, if a price is grinding up, let's give the up example, grinding up into an area very slowly, kind of picture rolling the racquetball to the front of the court, rolling it up there. It's going to stay up there and keep going. Okay, so that's where you got to think of that opposite. So if the speed is coming fast out into this area, I definitely want to punch it back in. Now, if it grinds into this area, I really maybe don't. Okay, so keep those things in mind. Order of operations and those other things are important as well. However, this is a great strategy for just seeing it set up, hit it, and get it. Now, I know I'm really taking my time walking through this. This is not as complex as it may sound so far. I promise, wait till you see it in action. It is quite easy, and that's why I say on a difficulty level, it is quite simple. Okay, so these 2 on the outer corners, you've got, kind of 2 standards. You come out here into big extension out into an area. It's the whole point of why it was called a 2-finger salute to begin with. Think of picturing a big arm going straight out into an area. And then, boom, you got these 2 hammer bars out in the other direction. And poof, we're pulling it right back into that area, and we're trying to get that first move back inside. Now, do we know whether or not that's going to be a pullback and then punch back out? No, that's why the 2-finger salute, we're looking for a 5, 10, and 15. and some runners, but if it starts to come back, you know, bail on it, because also, sometimes that can be a, you know, just a great way for you to get into a pullback and a run if the market is trending. Okay, so keep that in mind. This is a great strategy, especially the outside ones, really good when market conditions are kind of sideways, not necessarily when the markets are trending hard. When the market is trending really hard, it's great to play the reversals. Okay, you get some good hits on the reversals, and we do have a reverse button. If you are looking at the full auto system, there is a reverse button that you can select, and that will actually reverse everything and take all of them in reverse, and we'll get more into that detail in the full auto system as well. Okay, so what's this one? Is this going to be a short? Yes, taking that as a short. This one, this is kind of dead man's land. Do we want to take this one at all? You might want to skip on this one. Okay, with full auto, it is going to still take this position if it's within 15 ticks of a moving average. It will still take this, and again, we'll show more of that in the full auto system. But this is one, giving this example here as one that you want to avoid. Okay, if it's in the middle, you know, I've heard things like don't fiddle in the middle. It's good rule. Same thing applies here. If it's not at the ropes, or if it's not extended out into a, you know, multi-tier deviation or a big extension out and coming back in, we want to leave that alone, right? Don't necessarily want to play it. However, you know, other factors, if you get a dot inside there, another one of those great combos I got on my notes to tell you guys some of the great combos is if you get a dot inside of a two-finger salute zone, take it, right? Take the color of the dot. So in this case, if you got a red two finger and you got a green dot inside, go long. Okay, these boxes empower the dots. Okay, use that same example whenever we do a PRZ. Okay, PRZ with a dot inside of it, if that dot's inside, it's like getting it powered up, right? I think like the Tesseract is powering up the dot that's inside and gives it that extra oomph. So if I've got a red, doesn't matter what the color of the box is, okay, got a two-finger salute right here, and a dot shows up inside, take the dot with the color of the dot if it's in no man's land. You got it? Okay, this is it for the theory. That's it. 2 plays, okay? We are taking the reversion up top, reverse it in the middle, don't fiddle in the middle, okay? You know where your stops and targets go, okay? Stops at the back of the box. You know, I guess I should reiterate that. Stops, remember, stops at the back of the box on a standard, right? That also becomes the target when we're on the reverse. Pretty easy, right? Stop at the back of the box, targets 5, 10, 15, done. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Got it? Now, sizing, we'll talk about all kinds of different sizing. There's all kinds of strategies around that, okay, depending on your account size and, you know, risk levels, etc. We'll get into the details of that usually on, you know, if you guys can always, you know, ask specific questions about your circumstances. But in general, you know, it doesn't matter. You could take this as a 1 contract. You could take it as a 10 contract. You want to make sure that you know, don't get crazy with it. You got to make sure that your market can handle that, right? On an ES, you know, size is the limit. Z's, size is the limit. There's, you know, you can, did I say size is the limit? Sky's the limit on your size. That doesn't really matter. However, if you're trading the NASDAQ or the Dow, you know, there's only going to be about, you know, 4 or 5, you know, upwards of 20 tops on either side of the bid ask. So you have to keep that in mind. That's some of the more advanced things, but feel free to ask questions around some of the sizing stuff later. But the main thing about the strategy is the entries, the stops, the targets. You guys should have that now. Okay. All right, let's look at some live examples here. We are about 23 minutes in here. We want to try to wrap these in about 30 minutes each. So hang tight here, 7 minutes to kind of get through the rest. All right. So loose 2-finger. Here is a great example right up in here, right? Loose down 2-finger. You can see this is extended up into an area. Down 2-finger comes up in this area. Boom. I've got targets 1, 2, and 3, and looks like we've got runners all the way down until we see a blue bar. No problem. Now, what about this stuff here, right? What about these? Can you tell those are reverses, right? This is that area where I'd say, look, you should be able to eyeball this and tell, but I'll show you here in a minute. I'm going to add some additional things to the chart so it'll make it even more clear, right? But in general, I'm just showing you what these look like. Now, this is a loose, okay? You notice there's a moderate in there. I'll show you here a super on another chart in just a moment. Don't worry about the powers right now. I tend to add more contracts when these are when it gets up the chain, right? I'm not gonna not necessarily gonna change anything else, but I am going to change my size here, right? So this, like, let's say that I'm always doing 5 contracts on this one. On the moderate, I might get, I don't know, 7 or 8 contracts. It looks like 78, doesn't it? Let's just do 8 here, okay? I might do 7 or 8 contracts on a moderate, okay? And look at that. See how that moderate comes up in this area? We get that big move out, right? So I want to maybe bet bigger on a moderate versus a loose. Same thing with a super. I'm going to get bigger on the super sizes, okay? Another perfect example out here, right? That's pretty easy to see. Big extension out into an area, loose down to finger, perfectly calls it in an area. And of course, obviously we're choosing a spot in the chart. It's just perfect here to show some examples, but I want you to see what these look like. And then I'm going to put the ropes on. So let's go in here, add some things, and I'm going to show you guys what our standard template looks like. Okay, this, I just wanted you to see a nice clean version of what this looks like. This is what your charts will look like. Actually, no, it won't. Yours are going to have more stuff on them. But you can make your chart as clean as you want. If you're just a straight 2-finger player and this is all you want to trade, you want this to make this your bread and butter, you could just clear off the charts and have this all by itself. But I'll show you a couple things you might want to add. Okay, so I'm going to come in here to our ALGOBOX tools, and let's pull out our double Bollinger Band Pro, and let's put on our ropes. Okay, that's it. So Bollinger Band ropes, we just talked about from before. Just click OK. And again, these should already be on your templates, so don't necessarily worry about having to do that. But let's see, does this pick up nicely? Yes, it does. Okay, so again, with our versions of the ropes, let's see, can I get that off of Control Q? No, can I do pointer? Pointers. Cursor, pointer, there we go. Okay, so up here we've got our loose 2-finger. Can you see how this is, you turn in red here, right? When we get out into our bands and we touch the bands, our indicator here for us on our algorithms will change colors. Okay, so I'm coming out here, I'm seeing red, and I see a red down 2-finger. Do I want to take that? Of course I do. Check plus if you said yes, of course I want to take that as a standard 2-finger salute reversal back down inside. Okay, now we didn't get anything up here. That would have been nice, right? This is just a standard Bollinger Band play right there. Pull that off, pull it off. But did we get a 2-finger there? No, so no entry there. So what about this one? We got this loose up 2-finger going on right here. What do we do with this? Should we get long right here because it says it's an up 2-finger? Okay, so it's what we call a U2, whoops. Okay, so we have a U2F up 2-finger. We'll use this as our nomenclature sometimes. Okay, so we got an up 2-finger here, but it's into the golden ropes. Can you see how this is like entangled in the golden ropes? Right? So what do I want to do with this? Your answer should be reverse it. You guys got it? We also call that being inside the river. Now I'm going to show you, I'm going to add our rivers here in just a moment because there is a zone around, because you're like, well, how close does it have to be, Vinny? Does it have to be perfect? Does it have to be right on the ropes? Is it? In general, I promise if you look at enough of these, you're going to just be able to eyeball it and you're going to know. Okay, so first of all, know that. But let's say that you're like me and you really just want something. You don't want to have to think. We are trying to take all of the thinking off the table. You get to concentrate on a couple of things. Execution, and then after execution, looking at all the other things. Not having to fuss around with what the entry is or what it's supposed to be doing. You're going to focus on your size, your risk management, and your money management, and that's it. Okay. So this spot right here, we want to reverse it. Okay. Next one shows up, another one. You're getting these back to back to backs. Okay. You get 3 winners in a row, really make it 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 winners. This is a 5th winner right here. And this is a screenshot kind of showing an example of each type. We've got the normal kind, we've got the reversal kind right in the center here. And now I'm going to show you adding the rope so that you can tell what the zone is. And of course, last thing up here, these are called D2Fs. Oops. Right. For down 2 fingers. Right there. Okay. Up 2 fingers, down 2 fingers. That's it. Okay. Now the side, or now the strength. This one's a loose. Okay. This is the weakest. Okay, loose, and then moderate. That's a kind of medium. All right, and now I don't have a super on this screenshot. Actually, this is not a screenshot. This is actually a live chart. But let me pull over my chart with that on it, which is hiding here somewhere. Here we go. Okay, so here's what a super looks like. Let's move it over here. Super up. All right, I think you guys can see that. Don't need to zoom in too much more there. But this is a super up two finger. And of course, you can kind of tell why I might want to, boost that. Now, this is a little bit of a tricky one, right? This one really technically is not touching the Bollinger Band area, but would I still take this one? I probably would, right? Again, I really, once I'm doing these, I'm going to go ahead and take these anyhow, and I'm going to adjust my size accordingly. You can see this one, look, another nice little winner right there. What's that one? That's going to be a reverse, right? You should instantly see that this is going into the golden rope. So what do I want to do? I want to reverse that, right? You see how that works? Up two finger into the golden ropes. Boop. I want to kick it back the other way, right? Up two finger here. Super up two finger. So maybe I want to increase my size. Okay. Target 1, target 2, target 3. Yes. Yeah, she comes back and gets a little heat, and then she gets going. Right? Beast mode. Very nice on that one. Okay. So there's your super example, just in case you were looking for that. And of course, we have the moderate. We got the loose. Okay, let's put this one off on the side. And those are some good examples right there. Here we go. So what about this one? So this is a loose up two finger into the ropes. That one's going to be a loser. This one's a tough one right there, but that is a loser, right? So we got a loose up two finger into it. Do we get it back off the backside? No. This thing just ends up rocket launching up into that area. Who knows what's going on at that time of day? It looks like it's at noonish. There are times of day when this does work better. Can you trade them all day? Yes, you can. Okay. Let's look at some stats. So that's it. This is, there we are, right at about 30 minutes there. So that should conclude everything you need to know about up two fingers, down two fingers, and taking them in reverse. We talked about order of operations. Don't forget, remember, before any of these are applied, before you punch that button, you need to make sure you've got the order of operations first. You should be memorizing videos 1 through 6. You should be able to almost like my sister used to watch Cinderella back when she was a kid. She would watch that freaking every day. I think I can quote and sing every song to that movie, and that movie's like 2 hours long, right? And I can literally probably tell you every quote that's in it. Yeah, I am saying that you need to go through videos 1 through 6 enough times so that you can literally detect, and like if you were playing back the video, you could detect and present and speak my next sentence. Like literally finish my sentences for me in those videos 1 through 6 so that you know everything that's in those. I packed those with information of stuff that you need to do prior to an entry, but then after that, very easy. Okay, wait for the signals, enter, stops and targets, you're good to go. All right. So that's it on the manual part. I'm going to talk briefly about the automated stuff. If you are turning this beast on for the first time, you want to see what's up. When you turn it on, you will see the P&L stuff showing up in the top left. And I'm going to show you a couple of tricks. Okay. So right click. Let's go over here so you can see this. Right click, strategy performance. And this one, historical and real time. Okay. Click on this one right here. Whoops. All right, so now this is going to get you kind of bring it into the stats of what's currently running. Okay, so you saw at the top the P&L, so the P&L is not everything, right? You want to look inside and see, okay, so what else is going on inside of this thing right now? So the time frame for this is, where's our date range? So this is from 2/25 to 3/10, so about 2 weeks. Here, which is again usually what I'm optimizing for. I'm trying to optimize for this particular strategy. I want to get a 2-week gauge of how we're doing to get the current market conditions in it. And now we can go into some really cool stuff. Okay, this is where I want you to learn how to do these things. Okay, get ready. This part of the video, start taking notes, do these on your own, take some screenshots. You need to know how to be very familiar with what is called the performance reports and how to glean information from these. Not just this summary page. A lot of people are like, oh, well, I'm saying we got our profit factors, we got our percent profitables. Yeah, the rest of the stuff I don't really know. There's my average time in market. Okay, I might use that, but how do I use the rest of this stuff? Average consecutive losers. Wait a minute. 6 losers, 8 losers in a row. Wait a minute. You know, and those are important. Okay, you want to use these. You want to know how much drawdown you've got. But let's go into some more details. This page I think is self-explanatory. There's a few things that might be a little bit trickier. Max adverse excursion, max favorable excursion, etc. down there at the bottom. But let's go right here to the graphs. Okay, let's take a look at what's going on inside now. Yeah, it looks like we're struggling. We came up in here a little bit. No surprise. I mean, lately the VIX started to kick, right? Did the VIX not just go absolutely berserk? If you are watching at this time and date, the markets have literally, the VIX is up in the 40s and 50s. So a little bit of an odd time in the markets right now, but no surprise that this took some drawdown in this area. And let's go to the distribution though. This is some of the most important stuff to find out what days of the week are working well. Now, you want to get more time than just 2 weeks. Okay, I'm not really going to go, oh, Tuesdays are bad with this just because this, you know, this is only 2 weeks of data. What I want to do, if I'm trying to figure out what day of the week runs the best on this, I want to backtest, optimize, and walk forward on a large period of time so that I can figure out what day of the week is best. Okay, so I'm going to really kind of discount this one, but it's good to know where this is. Okay, this is day of the week. But what I can glean from this is what hours of the day are working well. Okay, for my entry time, make sure you select this on entry time. Okay, this is default out of the box. This is not set to entry time. I highly recommend you set this to entry time. Okay, you want to know when you're getting into a trade, not really when you want to exit, and the default is exit for some reason. So if your stuff doesn't look quite right, make sure check that right there on entry times. Okay, this is called the distribution graph. Okay, so I want to know what time of day we are doing well and what times we are struggling, right? Okay, so looks like this, again, really I want to see this solid right here in those first couple hours of the day, and looks like, you know, we got a great strategy here running in our primary time frame in the early morning. Looks like in the afternoon, again, same thing, you know, what is that, 1 to 2 o'clock? Looks like the last hour or so, might be a little bit of a struggle, but you see how I can kind of start to come in here and figure out when I should be enabling or disabling this on full auto, right? Got that? That's some information you want to glean from this chart. Always important. I want to know what times I should turn it on. I want to know what times I should turn it off. There's also one of the keys that I talk about in here is what times, like, can I reverse it and make money? If I were to say what time you should turn this on reverse to make more money, what time do you think that would be? Right. Well, right here. Imagine that 11 o'clock bar, what if we could flip that upside down? A big green bar, right? What about this one? What if we could flip that upside down? See where I'm going with that? So this section here, if you punch reverse on, okay, and we do have that option, all we're doing is flipping. Again, if you really think about markets, they're always up or down. And in code, it's a 0 or 1, right? It's an up or it's a down. Anyhow, that is some stuff that you want to look at your distribution charts if you are getting it in and turning it on full auto. Let's see, daily net profit, you can see what that is. So approximately across, what you want to see is some nice steadiness so you can figure out where your high water mark is. I always find that extremely important. We'll go into details of why that is later. So right now you might want to say it's 1,000. Okay, I got a bunch of days here hitting at 1,000, but I might want to reduce it a little bit more because look, I've got all of these punching in at approximately 500, right? About a $500 a day. Okay, so if I'm looking for a high water mark where I might want to turn the system off, when the system reaches about 500 in a day, maybe that's where I want to cut it, right? Because we're going to have some back and forth. This is what you're kind of looking for, what we call the mode, right? You're looking for the mode. What is the most common dollar figure that you're making on a daily basis on this one? Looks like approximately $500 a day as of right now. Other thing that is helpful in these. So that's your daily net profit. Drawdown. This one's a little bit more difficult to use. I don't know that this is super helpful. This just in the last there, you already saw this from some other charts. I think that's just as easy to see on a regular chart, that, you know, there's drawdown areas coming in, you know, towards the last half here where the VIX is up. Another thing you should be able to take into account, like there are times, I've already told you, when VIX, we should kind of leave this alone, right? When you start getting VIX above 20, right? Like this is not, this is kind of the no man's land, right? You don't really want to necessarily be playing around with that. What's the sweet spot? 13 to 14, right? 13 to 14 on the VIX. You guys should know these by now. If you're getting to this video, you're going to learn this in videos prior, so this should just be review. If it's not, if you're watching this for the first time or whatever, you're just catching up, make sure you go back and watch those videos so you know exactly what we're talking about. Monthly is not really helpful when you got this amount of data. That's helpful if you've got, you know, if you're running multi-months or yearly, that's not super helpful. Yeah, those aren't real helpful either. That's it. I really don't want to, you know, get it too much, but this distribution I think is extremely important. Half hours get a little bit weird sometimes. Yeah, see, at the end of the day, you see this, something's going to throw this off. We're not this is the, you know, this is the last half of the day. There's obviously some kind of outlier right here you don't want to mess with. So sometimes you'll see that kind of thing, and we already saw from our hour entry area that we really want to kind of stay out and avoid that end of day area anyhow. And you know, I'm usually not going to run a system like that in the afternoon up to the close of day anyhow, and particularly not this strategy. Now there are strategies that you would, but not this one. Okay. So that's kind of the information that you can gather and glean from the distribution area. And that's how you look into those. We'll talk more about how to optimize, how to find all that information out and find out what settings you should be on. Speaking of those settings, let's go ahead and look at those real quick. So let's say that we had optimized instead of actually run. That's an actual run there. We are going to look at the settings for this. So go into our strategies here and take a peek over here on the right and scroll up. Let's disable this real quick. And so right now I'm running this on a contract quantity of 5, which is kind of, yeah, it's usually a good base for me. I'm usually running around 5 contracts or so. We've got the reverse stop at 25 ticks for this run. There's our river tick width. Oh shoot, I knew there was something else we need to do. The river tick width. Did not show that, did I? River tick width is approximately 15 ticks right now. You can increase that or decrease that. You can play with that. You can also let the optimizer go and figure that out for you. Every one of these is optimizable. If you know what that means, we'll talk more about that as we get into those. But these are the current settings on what was being run on this one for a 2-week window that created approximately, I think it was 3,300. Real quick, those of you guys who stayed till the end, you're getting bonus material here, because what I didn't add was the rivers. So scroll down here and look for the ALGOBOX rivers. And it's going to be, here's golden ropes, and here we go. The rivers of life. Click OK. All right, now sometimes it does this. Another little tip, okay? I want to click this area. I'm clicking on the shift, holding shift. Hear that? And I'm scrolling with my mouse. Scroll, scroll, using the wheel. You see how it says level 6, level 7? See how I can scroll it all the way up and I can push it back. Click, 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 click. You see that? This is important to know. Anything on your chart is an object. Every object on your chart, those are all each objects. They can be pulled backwards and forwards. So if there's something you want to see a little bit clearer, you can pull it forward, you can push it back. I'll hold shift and I scroll. You see how I can make it go back behind things. I can bring it all the way forward, etc., etc. Okay, quick little tidbit on that. So now you can see the rivers. With the rivers, you can see the zone around around the area. Let me move this down a little bit and try the zoom. Okay, so now you can see it very clearly as you zoom into those rivers. Okay, so if the box is showing up, it's going into the river, what do I want to do? I want to reverse it, right? So just think, if the 2 fingers in the river, what are we doing? Reversing. Okay, especially when the river lines are getting really close together. It's a little bit different when they get spread apart. You'll learn that as well when you kind of get to some more of the advanced stuff and you start practicing these. Again, I always recommend that you spend time in market replay, and don't cry over spilled milk. If a trade doesn't work, kill it. Remember, go back to video number 1 where we talk about risk management. Start there and make sure you keep your stops where they need to be. Stop out, and then of course you can get bigger when you get everything kind of lined up in your direction. All right, folks, that is it. Thanks for hanging out here tonight with us, getting our ALGOBOX 2-finger salute and I hope you guys enjoyed that and that you got something out of it. If you guys have questions, of course, pop those over there in the chat box. Head on over to our Discord area, pop those questions and ask any questions if you want to see something in a video or any of those type of things. And I will catch you guys on the flip side.